just remember before I unleash on this, the NFL tried to bury Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback that I said should go number 1 overall, the quarterback that Mel Kiper ranked above Cam Ward before the draft, fell incredibly, shockingly, outrageously, preposterously into the 5th round, where Jimmy Haslam, the Cleveland owner, finally said, let's just take him. It was a publicity stunt by a bad football team with bad ownership and bad management and bad coaching. Nobody in that organization wanted to take Shedeur Sanders even in the 5th round except for the owner. Trust me on that. And somehow Shedeur Sanders rose from 5th on the depth chart all the way up into starting the last 7 games for the Cleveland Browns. Maybe there is a God above. Maybe God said, let there be Shedeur. And he just capped off his rookie season for the Cleveland Browns by beating Aaron Rodgers straight up and then going to Cincinnati and beating Joe Burrow with an outrageously clutch 64-yard and 10-play drive for the field goal, the walk-off field goal, to win it. I don't know what more Shedeur could have done with less. He had by far, through these 7 games he started, the highest degree of difficulty of any rookie quarterback or any quarterback in the league, by far. I'm going to remind you, Pro Football Focus over all 7 games ranked Shedeur's pass blocking dead last in the National Football League. And Pro Football Focus over the last 7 games ranked Shedeur's receiving core dead last. And going into his finale at Cincinnati, he didn't have Harold Fannin Jr., the rookie sort of hybrid tight end who had become his favorite receiver. He lost him for most of the previous game against Aaron Rodgers. And he didn't have David Njoku, his best tight end. And I'm watching the game at Cincinnati today, and let me just remind you, he's throwing footballs to people named Malachi Conley, or is it Corley? I think it's Corley, sorry. I'd never heard of the guy. A 3rd rounder by the Jets in 2023, got cut by the Jets, wound up on the Cleveland practice squad. I don't know. He's throwing footballs to Travion Williams, a 6th round pick in 2019, who bounced around the league, was with the Chargers briefly this year, and wound up cut and for the 2nd time added to the Browns practice squad and then elevated for this game. Shedeur threw a perfect touchdown pass today that was dropped by Sam Cannella, who's bounced all around this league and was just recently elevated from the Browns practice squad. Even threw a football today to Blake Whitehurst. I'd never heard of him out of Wake Forest. I don't know, tight end. I don't know. Running the football today and sometimes catching the football was Raheem Sanders, who undrafted, signed by the Chargers, cut by the Chargers. And he's throwing the ball, as he has been, to Isaiah Bond, undrafted rookie. There was Jerry Jeudy, who managed to catch today 2 balls for 17 yards. One of them a big catch. I'll get to that in just a second. But all I know is that I saw Shedeur Sanders go head-to-head with Cam Ward and throw for 364. They lost the game, but not because of Shedeur. 364, completely outplayed Cam Ward head-to-head. And I will give you this. Shedeur was sort of bodyguarded by a very good Cleveland defense. There were times when it would just get run off the field, which I couldn't understand. Looked like it had developed a fatal flaw. But today, that defense is playing without both starting cornerbacks, both starting cornerbacks. Myles Garrett did get the sack record on Joe Burrow. I thought it was a clean sack. He just smoked his guy off the line of scrimmage, tilted inside. Micah can't tilt. And with that giant monster paw of his, just spun Joe Burrow into the turf as he blew by him. I thought it was a legit sack. But he did have Myles Garrett playing for him on the other side, so that works. But then Joe Burrow went down and scored, took the lead, minute 29 left, and Shedeur winds up facing a 3rd and 10 at his 29. 3rd and 10 at his 29. And he found aforementioned Isaiah Bond on an out route. Hit him right there. Shedeur is deadly accurate when he has some time. You got to give me a little bit of time. And he's underrated mobile. He can move around. He had some runs today. He ran 3 times for 26 yards today. He can run. Not like his daddy, but who can? Isaiah Bond, clutch, 13-yard pass. Shedeur, he's got the clutch gene. I've been saying this from his time at Jackson State in 2 years. I carefully watched him at Colorado. Came up big clutch. That Baylor game was unbelievably clutch, the one last year at home. Whew. And then swing pass to Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson can play. He's again, another rookie, but he can play. But remember, he lost his little stud running back, Judkins. God bless him in his recovery. So he didn't even have Judkins, but he does have Dylan Sampson, so he swung it to him for 9 yards. Still facing 3rd and 1 at the 49, and he found Judy on a crossing route. Hit him right there. Of course, Judy juggled it because he was up among the leaders in drops this year with 10. But that went for 11 yards, and that gave him 1st and 10 at the 38 and set up the 49-yard walk-off field goal. 20-18 Cleveland Browns. They win another game. I don't want to talk about the stats because they weren't sensational today. But I don't know if you've noticed, since Joe Burrow came back, all of a sudden the Cincinnati Bengals defense took off. It was the worst. Now my Dallas Cowboy defense is by far the worst. But the Bengals, especially at home, they're pretty good. They're pretty tough. So without Fannin Jr., without Njoku, without Judkins, with a whole bunch of nothing here, a bunch of no-name nothing, when it was finally time, Shedeur goes 64 yards in 10 plays and put the cherry on top of his season. He's got it. He's got poise. He's got command. This team plays hard for Shedeur Sanders. Again, I have mixed emotions about Shedeur staying in Cleveland. There's a part of me that wishes somehow somebody would trade for him and start fresh with him, somebody who really believed in him. Obviously, tomorrow we need to hear that Kevin Stefanski is gone. He didn't want Shedeur. I think he worked at times, especially early on, to sabotage Shedeur. He has to go. Those two won't work. More valuable now, by far, is Shedeur over Kevin Stefanski.